Ladies and gentlemen, students of life, dreamers, doers, visionaries, let me tell you something. You will make mistakes. Mistakes are not failures, they are feedback. It's important to understand this simple but profound truth. Mistakes do not define you, they refine you. Far too often, we look at mistakes as something negative, as proof of our inadequacy or incompetence. We see them as roadblocks on our path to success, but in reality, they are stepping stones. Every time you make a mistake, you learn something. You gain insight into what doesn't work, which is just as valuable as discovering what does. Think about it. How many times have you heard someone say, "I wish I knew then what I know now"? The truth is, most of what we know now came from some form of failure or misstep. No one gets everything right on the first try. Nobody succeeds without first stumbling. It's the very nature of growth to get it wrong before you get it right. Mistakes are simply a reflection of the fact that you're trying, that you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, that you're stretching yourself towards something better, something greater. Feedback is vital for improvement. When you make a mistake, you've essentially received feedback on your approach, your decision, or your method. This feedback can guide you, it can shape your actions, and it can lead you toward the right path. But if you look at mistakes as failures, as a sign that you're incapable or that the effort wasn't worth it, you miss the chance to learn from them. The true failure happens when you refuse to acknowledge your mistakes and instead continue down the same misguided path without adjusting or adapting. A failure without feedback is truly detrimental. But a mistake, a misstep, a setback, it can be a lesson if you choose to see it that way. This is where growth happens. Every time you make a mistake, you have the opportunity to reevaluate, to ask yourself, what went wrong? How can I do better next time? This is feedback in its purest form. When you get something wrong, you can learn from it in ways you could never have learned from success alone. Take any great innovator, any entrepreneur, or any leader you admire, and you'll find that their journey was paved with mistakes. Whether it's Thomas Edison, who famously failed thousands of times before he perfected the light bulb, or Oprah Winfrey, who faced rejection after rejection before she became one of the most influential women in the world, their success didn't come without failure. But in every one of those failures, there was an underlying lesson. Each mistake was a step toward progress. Every failed attempt was an opportunity to gather information, to adjust their approach, and ultimately to succeed. This is why mistakes aren't failures. They are feedback. They give you the information you need to improve. It's almost like a GPS system in your life. You may take a wrong turn, but you can always reroute, recalibrate, and keep moving forward. The key is not to become discouraged, not to let the mistake discourage you from trying again, but to use that experience as a lesson. Without mistakes, without feedback, there would be no growth, no self-awareness, and no evolution. It's the mistakes we make that teach us to adjust, to change our direction, and to make better decisions next time. Think of mistakes as the fuel for improvement. When you've made a mistake, you've gathered information that will make you better, smarter, and stronger in the future. Let's take the example of learning to ride a bike. The first time you try, you probably fall over. You might get frustrated, but falling off the bike is just feedback. It's telling you that you need to adjust your balance, your posture, or your technique. The next time you try, you're better equipped because of the mistake you made before. And before you know it, you're riding confidently and without thought. That process of making mistakes, getting feedback, and adjusting is how learning happens. It's how mastery is achieved. When you shift your mindset from seeing mistakes as failures to viewing them as feedback, you give yourself permission to keep going. You stop fearing the possibility of being wrong and instead embrace the chance to learn. Mistakes are not the end of the road. They're part of the journey. They are the moments when you adjust your sails, realign your efforts, and continue moving forward with a sharper sense of direction. Too many people stop trying because they're afraid of making mistakes, as if making mistakes somehow makes them weak, unqualified, or incapable. But those who succeed, those who make it through the struggles, are the ones who push through the discomfort of failure and learn from their mistakes. They see mistakes not as barriers, but as gateways to improvement. In your own life, whether it's in your career, relationships, personal development, or any other area, you need to shift your perspective. Every time you mess up, every time something doesn't go according to plan, you have an opportunity to grow. You've just received valuable feedback that, if applied correctly, will lead to greater success down the road. Remember, the road to success isn't linear. It's filled with detours, potholes, and occasional dead ends. But if you keep learning, keep adjusting, and keep going, those mistakes will become the very things that propel you forward. So the next time you make a mistake, don't view it as failure. See it for what it truly is, a lesson, a piece of feedback that will help you improve. Embrace it, learn from it, and above all, keep trying. Because every mistake you make is proof that you're in the game, that you're not afraid to step up, and that you're taking steps toward becoming the person you were always meant to be. Every great innovator, leader, and thinker has failed, often. This is a truth that many people overlook, or worse, are afraid to acknowledge. The idea of failure can be so daunting, so overwhelming, that many choose to avoid risk altogether, convincing themselves that safety and security are the best paths to success. But the reality is that failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. When you look at the most remarkable figures in history, whether it's in business, science, entertainment, or politics, you will find that failure is not just an experience they had. It was a crucial part of their journey. These individuals didn't avoid failure, they embraced it, and more importantly, they learned from it. Take someone like Albert Einstein. One of the most brilliant minds the world has ever known, Einstein is remembered not only for his groundbreaking contributions to physics, but also for the numerous setbacks he faced throughout his career. He failed to secure teaching positions early on, and he struggled with a system that didn't immediately recognize his genius. Yet he persisted. He didn't let his early failures define him or limit his future. Instead, he used them as stepping stones to build the legacy that would change the world. Consider Michael Jordan, widely regarded as the greatest basketball player of all time. He was famously cut from his high school basketball team, which is often seen as one of the greatest failures in his career. But instead of letting that setback deter him, Jordan took it as motivation to work harder, train longer, and prove everyone wrong. Every time he failed, every missed shot, every lost game, he became better. His failures didn't break him, they made him relentless. The reason he became a legend is because he understood that failure wasn't a sign to quit. It was a signal to try harder and to grow stronger. Even Oprah Winfrey, who now holds a place as one of the most influential media moguls in history, faced rejection early in her career. She was told she wasn't fit for television news and was criticized for being too emotional on air. These early setbacks could have been enough to discourage anyone, but Oprah used them as fuel. Instead of retreating, she took the lessons from her failures and built an empire, eventually becoming a symbol of resilience, innovation, and leadership. The point is this: the path to greatness is rarely linear. Success is not a straight line. It's full of twists, turns, and, yes, failures. If you think about it, failure is often the only way to truly learn. Failure teaches you what works and what doesn't. It shows you what needs to be adjusted, improved, or completely overhauled. It's through failure that you get valuable feedback that success could never provide. The greatest thinkers in the world never achieved greatness by getting everything right from the beginning. They achieved it by failing, learning, and trying again, harder and smarter. Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, faced a major failure in his career when he was ousted from the very company he built. His time away from Apple, however, was not a time of defeat, but of reinvention. Jobs used that failure as a springboard for his future success. He went on to create NXT and later Pixar, before returning to Apple and revolutionizing the tech world in ways no one had ever imagined. Jobs famously said, "Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do." His ability to fail, learn, and come back stronger is a hallmark of why he's considered one of the greatest entrepreneurs of all time. We see the same pattern in J.K. Rowling, author of the beloved Harry Potter series. Before her books became a global phenomenon, she faced rejection after rejection from publishers. In fact, Harry Potter was turned down by 12 different publishing houses before it was finally accepted. But instead of giving up, Rowling kept writing, kept believing in her story, and ultimately found the success that would not only change her life, but the lives of millions of readers around the world. Her message is clear. Failure is not a permanent state. It's a temporary setback on the way to achieving something extraordinary. It's essential to recognize that failure is not an indication of personal inadequacy. It is often a sign that you are reaching beyond your comfort zone, pushing yourself into new and uncharted territories. If you never fail, you may never really push yourself. The fact that you're facing setbacks is a sign that you're on the right path, that you're trying new things, taking risks, and growing. Those who never fail are the ones who settle for mediocrity, who stay within the lines, and who never truly test their potential. When you look at failure from this perspective, it becomes clear. The people who innovate, who make significant breakthroughs, and who leave lasting legacies are the people who fail the most. It's not their failures that define them. It's their ability to learn from those failures and to keep going that separates them from the rest. As long as you don't stop trying, as long as you don't let failure become the end of your story, then failure will always be a part of your success story. Remember, it's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you get up, adjust, and move forward. That's how greatness is achieved. So don't fear failure. Don't let it scare you into inaction or make you think you're not cut out for success. Understand that failure is part of the process, part of the journey toward becoming the person you are meant to be. Failure isn't a roadblock, it's a stepping stone. Every time you fail, you're one step closer to your dreams, your goals, and the success that you deserve. Fear of mistakes leads to inaction. This is one of the greatest barriers to progress that so many people face. In fact, the fear of making a mistake often paralyzes individuals to the point where they avoid taking any action at all. They wait for the perfect moment to act, or they hold back because they're afraid of not getting things exactly right. But the truth is, perfection is an illusion, and the only real mistake is the one that stops you from moving forward. When you fear making a mistake, you're ultimately fearing the one thing that will help you learn, grow, and evolve. The fear of mistakes often comes from a deep-rooted fear of failure. This fear convinces us that mistakes are something to be avoided at all costs, that they are signs of incompetence or weakness. But let's be clear, mistakes are not a sign of failure. They are a sign that you are trying. You are testing, exploring, learning, and taking chances. The moment you let fear stop you from trying is the moment you stop growing. You don't learn from what you don't try, and you don't grow from what you don't attempt. It's easy to get stuck in the cycle of what if I fail, and allow that question to freeze you in place. You start overthinking every step, every decision, trying to control every possible outcome, and before you know it, you've talked yourself out of doing anything at all. This is where the danger lies. Inaction is the greatest obstacle to success. The fear of making mistakes keeps people in a state of constant hesitation, preventing them from moving forward with their lives, careers, and personal goals. And while you're stuck in hesitation, the world around you keeps moving forward, and opportunities slip away. Think about how many times you've hesitated to speak up, to ask for what you want, or to go after your dreams because you were afraid of what might happen if things don't go as planned. The simple act of taking action, even imperfect action, is what propels you forward. It is far better to make a mistake than to make no move at all. The reality is, you will make mistakes along the way, but those mistakes are the very things that will teach you the lessons you need to succeed. The longer you stay stuck in indecision, the further away success moves. Success only comes when you're willing to step forward, no matter how uncertain the path may seem. Consider any major breakthrough or achievement. Behind every success story, you will find someone who was willing to step into the unknown, someone who had the courage to make mistakes and keep going. Walt Disney was told that he lacked creativity and vision early in his career. Imagine if he had let that criticism stop him, if he had feared making mistakes or failing at every new idea. He didn't let that fear define him. Instead, he kept pushing forward, kept building, and the result was a world-changing empire that continues to influence generations. It's the same with entrepreneurs. How many of them started with little more than an idea, and along the way faced failure, rejection, and countless mistakes. But what separates the successful from the unsuccessful is the willingness to continue despite the fear of failure. Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin, has failed more times than most people ever attempt something new. Yet his mistakes didn't stop him. They were part of his journey, shaping him into the visionary businessman he is today. He once said, "You don't learn to walk by following rules. You learn by doing and by falling over." When you fear mistakes, you avoid learning. Every time you don't take action, you deny yourself the opportunity to learn from your mistakes, to adjust, and to become better. The key is to act first, learn later. The more you try, the more you learn, and the more you grow. It's a simple equation. Action equals experience. The only way to gain experience is to put yourself out there, to face the possibility of mistakes head on, and to be okay with them. The more mistakes you make, the more you learn about yourself, about others, and about the world around you. The fear of mistakes also prevents you from taking risks. But without risk, there is no reward. Risk is a necessary part of life and growth. Think about any high, achieving person in history. They all took risks. The Wright brothers took a risk when they tried to build the first airplane, despite the doubts and criticism they faced. Thomas Edison took a risk when he kept trying to invent the light bulb, despite thousands of failed attempts. Every great success story is built on the foundation of risk, taking mistakes, and overcoming failure. People who are afraid of mistakes often miss out on opportunities because they hesitate or refuse to take risks. They look for guarantees before taking action, but life doesn't work that way. There are no guarantees, and perfection is rarely achievable. Instead, what you can control is your ability to keep moving forward, to take risks, to make mistakes, and to keep learning. When you stop worrying about making mistakes, you free yourself to take the kind of bold actions that lead to real progress. The fear of making mistakes also creates a culture of perfectionism, where the focus is on getting everything right rather than on making progress. Perfectionism often results in procrastination because the pressure to do things flawlessly can be so overwhelming that it keeps you from starting in the first place. The key to overcoming perfectionism is understanding that progress is more important than perfection. Mistakes are part of that progress. They are signs that you are in motion, that you are growing, that you are learning, and that you are moving toward your goals. So, if you find yourself paralyzed by fear, ask yourself, What am I afraid of? Is it the mistake itself, or is it the idea that I might not be good enough, or that I might fail? Understand that your worth isn't tied to your mistakes. Your value comes from your willingness to keep going, to keep trying, and to keep learning. The only real mistake is the one you don't learn from, and the only real failure is the failure to act. In the end, action is always better than inaction. Take the risk, make the mistake, learn from it, and keep moving forward. Mistakes build resilience and wisdom. This is a fundamental truth that often gets overlooked in the pursuit of perfection or success. When you make mistakes, you don't just encounter failure. You encounter an opportunity to bounce back, to grow stronger, and to become more capable. Each mistake, each failure, is like a muscle you build. It strengthens your ability to handle adversity, setbacks, and challenges in the future. It teaches you how to deal with disappointment, how to learn from what went wrong, and how to approach life with greater understanding and confidence. Resilience is not something you are born with. It's something you build over time through experience. When you make a mistake and then find the courage to get back up and try again, you are building that inner strength, that mental fortitude that will carry you through difficult times. The more mistakes you make and recover from, the more resilient you become. Every time you face a setback, you learn a little more about your limits, your abilities, and your capacity to persevere. You learn how to dust yourself off, adjust your approach, and keep moving forward. Mistakes are the training ground for resilience, and without them, you would never know how to handle the hardships that life inevitably throws your way. Resilience doesn't come from avoiding mistakes or setbacks. In fact, if you never make mistakes, you might never truly learn how to handle adversity. When things go wrong, it's easy to feel defeated, to want to give up, or to question your abilities. But the act of overcoming these challenges is what builds your strength. It's the process of getting through tough situations, learning from them, and emerging on the other side stronger that makes you resilient. Think of life as a series of obstacles to overcome. The more you learn to navigate those obstacles, the more equipped you become to face even greater challenges in the future. Take any successful person or leader, and you'll find that they have encountered setbacks, made mistakes, and faced failure at some point in their journey. What sets them apart isn't that they avoided failure, but that they were able to recover and keep moving forward. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison for fighting against apartheid. Yet he emerged from that experience stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. His resilience became one of the defining qualities of his leadership, allowing him to lead South Africa through one of its most transformative periods. His journey was full of mistakes, failures, and injustices, but it was precisely those experiences that gave him the wisdom and resilience to become the man he was. Mistakes also build wisdom. Wisdom doesn't come from always getting it right. It comes from reflecting on your mistakes, understanding why things went wrong, and adjusting your behavior accordingly. Every time you make a mistake, you gain valuable insight into how the world works, how people behave, and what your own strengths and weaknesses are. Mistakes provide the feedback necessary for growth and understanding. It's not just about what went wrong. It's about analyzing why it went wrong and what you can do differently next time. This process of reflection, learning, and applying what you've learned is how wisdom is gained. When you make a mistake and learn from it, you start to see patterns. You begin to recognize where you went wrong, and over time, you develop a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. You learn what works and what doesn't. You become more adept at handling similar situations in the future, and you start to develop a clearer sense of judgment and intuition. Mistakes help you develop better decision-making skills because they force you to evaluate your choices and their consequences. In that process, you gain the wisdom to make better decisions in the future. Take Thomas Edison, for example. He made thousands of mistakes during his experiments to invent the light bulb. But rather than being discouraged, he used every failure as an opportunity to learn and adapt. He once famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10 zeros, zero ways that won't work." Each failure provided him with a lesson that brought him one step closer to success. Edison's persistence in the face of failure and his ability to learn from his mistakes are what ultimately made him one of the greatest inventors in history. Mistakes also teach humility. When you fail or make a mistake, it forces you to confront your limitations. You come face with the fact that you don't have all the answers, that you don't always know what's best, and that you aren't always in control. This realization can be humbling, but it's also incredibly valuable. Humility allows you to approach life with an open mind, ready to learn, grow, and adapt. It makes you more receptive to feedback, more willing to listen, and more open to change. Without making mistakes, it's easy to become arrogant, thinking you have all the answers and that you can control everything. But mistakes help keep you grounded, reminding you that life is unpredictable and that there's always room for improvement. Resilience and wisdom also go hand in hand. Resilience gives you the strength to keep going, even when things get tough, while wisdom gives you the insight to know when to adjust your approach. The combination of these two qualities is what enables you to face adversity head on and to come out stronger on the other side. Every mistake you make is an opportunity to develop both resilience and wisdom. It's a chance to become more adept at handling life's challenges, more capable of learning from your experiences, and more determined to keep moving forward. In the end, mistakes are not something to be feared. They are something to be embraced. They are the forge in which resilience and wisdom are shaped. Without mistakes, there can be no growth. Without mistakes, there can be no learning. And without mistakes, there can be no true strength. So, the next time you make a mistake, don't dwell on the failure. Instead, ask yourself what you can learn from it and how you can use it to become better. Remember, the most successful people in the world didn't get there by avoiding mistakes. They got there by learning from them and using them to fuel their progress. Mistakes lead to greater self-awareness and growth. This is a truth that has profound implications for how we approach life. When we make mistakes, we are often forced to reflect on our actions, our decisions, and our motivations. This self-reflection is a powerful tool for personal growth because it allows us to better understand ourselves and our relationship with the world around us. Every time we make a mistake, it presents us with an opportunity to learn more about our values, our strengths, and our weaknesses. It's through this process of reflection that we become more aware of who we truly are, and it is this awareness that lays the foundation for lasting change and improvement. When things go wrong, it's easy to blame external factors, circumstances, other people, or even bad luck. But the most powerful approach is to turn inward and examine what role we played in the outcome. This kind of introspection is not about self, blame, or guilt. It's about taking responsibility for our actions and recognizing how we can do better moving forward. Mistakes provide us with a mirror, showing us where we fell short and offering the chance to correct course. This act of examining ourselves allows us to grow in ways that successes and easy victories never could. Self-awareness is the first step in any meaningful transformation. It's difficult to improve if we don't understand where we're starting from. Many of us go through life without taking the time to truly examine our habits, our behaviors, and our thought processes. It's often only when we make a mistake, when something doesn't go the way we hoped, that we are forced to step back and reflect. This reflection helps us identify patterns in our behavior, beliefs, and attitudes that may be holding us back. Mistakes become the catalyst for this self-discovery, helping us uncover the areas in which we need to change and grow. Consider someone who constantly struggles with procrastination. It's only when they make a mistake, when they miss an important deadline or fail to complete a project, that they are forced to confront the underlying issues. They might realize that they procrastinate because they fear failure or because they struggle with perfectionism. This realization can lead to significant growth because it allows them to take action to overcome these challenges. Without making the mistake of missing the deadline, they might never have identified the root cause of their behavior and might never have addressed it. Through this process, they become more self-aware and more equipped to make positive changes in their life. Mistakes also provide us with the opportunity to reassess our goals and priorities. Sometimes we make mistakes because we are pursuing goals that no longer serve us, or we may realize that we've been chasing someone else's dreams instead of our own. This is particularly common in situations where people feel pressure to succeed in ways that align with external expectations, such as societal norms or the approval of others, rather than pursuing what truly matters to them. When we make a mistake, we are forced to evaluate whether we're on the right path. Is the goal we've been working toward really something we want, or is it just a goal we've been told to pursue? Mistakes often provide the clarity we need to realign our efforts with our authentic desires and values. This process of reevaluating our goals can be incredibly liberating. It allows us to break free from external pressures and take control of our lives. It's easy to get caught up in the rat race and chase after what society deems successful, but mistakes often serve as a wake-up call. They help us reconnect with our true purpose and remind us that success is not just about external accomplishments, but about internal fulfillment and growth. When we make mistakes and reflect on them, we are given the opportunity to reset our course and pursue what truly matters to us. In addition to promoting self-awareness, mistakes also foster emotional intelligence. They teach us how to manage our emotions, how to handle disappointment, and how to stay resilient in the face of adversity. When something doesn't go as planned, it's natural to feel frustrated, upset, or discouraged. But learning how to process these emotions in a healthy way is crucial for personal growth. Mistakes give us the opportunity to practice emotional regulation, helping us to respond to setbacks in a more constructive way. The ability to stay calm, think clearly, and make thoughtful decisions in the face of adversity is a skill that can only be developed through experience. Emotional intelligence also involves empathy, and mistakes often lead us to better understand others. When we make a mistake, we gain a deeper appreciation for the challenges that others face. We can relate to their struggles, frustrations, and setbacks because we've been there ourselves. This empathy strengthens our relationships and helps us connect with others on a deeper level. By embracing our own imperfections, we become more accepting of the imperfections of others, fostering compassion and understanding in our interactions. Mistakes, in this way, enrich our ability to build meaningful relationships and work collaboratively with others. Moreover, mistakes teach us humility, which is another important aspect of self-awareness. It's easy to get caught up in our own successes and to develop an inflated sense of self. Mistakes humble us and remind us that we are all fallible. They remind us that we don't have all the answers and that there's always room for improvement. Humility is essential for personal growth because it keeps us grounded and open to learning. Without humility, we risk becoming complacent, believing that we have mastered everything and no longer need to grow. Mistakes act as a reality check, reminding us that growth is a continuous process and that there is always more to learn. Finally, mistakes provide a powerful opportunity to develop a growth mindset. When you view mistakes as opportunities rather than failures, you cultivate a mindset that is focused on learning, adaptation, and improvement. This mindset fosters resilience and encourages you to keep pushing forward, even when things get tough. With a growth mindset, you approach challenges with a sense of curiosity rather than fear, knowing that every setback is an opportunity to become better. In the end, mistakes are not just something to be avoided or feared. They are essential for personal growth and self-awareness. They provide the space for reflection, self-discovery, and transformation. Every time we make a mistake, we gain a little more insight into who we are, what we value, and what we are capable of achieving. Mistakes are not roadblocks. They are stepping stones on the path to becoming the best version of ourselves. So, embrace your mistakes, learn from them, and use them as tools to build a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. In conclusion, mistakes are not the stumbling blocks we often perceive them to be, but rather stepping stones on the path to growth and success. They are the proof that we are trying, the evidence that we are pushing ourselves, taking risks, and pursuing our goals. Mistakes give us the chance to learn, to build resilience, to grow wiser, and to become more self-aware. Rather than avoiding them or fearing failure, we must embrace mistakes as opportunities for transformation and progress. Every mistake is an invaluable lesson that strengthens our character, shapes our decisions, and propels us forward toward achieving our dreams. Mistakes do not define us. How we respond to them does. The willingness to learn from them, adapt, and keep moving forward is what separates those who succeed from those who stop trying. So, let every mistake be a reminder that you are in the game, that you are growing, and that you are on a journey towards something greater. The road to success is not a straight line, but a series of lessons, adjustments, and improvements that lead us to our best selves. Don't fear the mistakes because they are proof that you are trying, and that in itself is success in the making. Keep going, learn, grow, and remember that every mistake is a chance to get better, to rise higher, and to become the person you were always meant to be.